Morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here.
No worries.
We have
just let me know and we can send him.
oops, somebody else on?
Not now. We got them. We got them whacked. They're off now.
Okay. So anyway, this is the end of the month. What this means for you is how you end it right or wrong. If you haven't qualified for the month, then you've really ended it wrong. But if you bought products for the month, that's a good thing to do. But we are really a marketing company. We make products, and we make products that are vastly superior to anything that has ever been created on Earth. Some of them are absolute breakthroughs in science, far ahead of pharmaceuticals. In fact, as pharmaceuticals discovering in nature, we discover what they've discovered, and while they take 10 to 15 years to get it out in a synthetic molecule at a very great cost to you, we have it out normally we can do it in months if we can find the ingredient or find the way to make it. And some of those, and I have probably 30 or 40 patents on how to process things and how to do it to make them more effective. Now you can do two things. You can be a product of your product, which you should be. But the second thing is, this is a business that the products are designed to help you create a business. And the driving factor behind that is making good income or a substantial income or an incredible income. All of those things are here for you. If you look at what you're doing right now, are you working for another company? Okay, well, you have to do that. You have to pay the lights and rent and food on the table and all the other things you have. Those are fundamentals. But in doing so, you trade your time for dollars. They pay you so many dollars for each hour, and if you do a 40-hour week, you have a set wage that's there. Now, if you want to get ahead a little bit more, you get into the part of it where they may give you a salary but a commission, and so then what happens? Then you're just not going to work, sitting there doing the routine things. You're motivated to go out and do more. So the company benefits if that can happen. Now, it's pretty hard to give an accountant a commission because they're not really driving sales. And until a sale is made, nothing happens. And that's the foundation of what we're doing. We're trying to be really the epitome of what any company or any network marketing should be. Now, a couple of things. You get involved in things, and there's always people that are negative about what you're going to do. And there's ways to do it and to do it right. And some of it is, as you talked for this week, on making your list of names. So you need to make your list of names as the people that know you the best. Many times they're going to be the people that don't believe you because they know you and they know what how the life that you've lived and what you've done, and they see all the little mistakes that we all make. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not growing. You got to remember that. So if you made a mistake, think about it, correct it, do it better the next time, and where are you? You're on the right track to being successful. So where we have a great company, and we're growing quite fast now in some areas. And I would like to express to you that when opportunity comes by, if you don't grab it, it goes by. And you're going to be left there watching it go off in the distance. And someday when you see what it has created, you're going to think, oh, I was there. I should have done it then. But like a famous saying, I believe it was Shakespeare, said this, and consider this. It says, of all the words of mice or men, the saddest are those it might have been. And when you think about that, the things that I look back in my life where I'm at, what do I regret the most besides my marriages I went through? But what do I regret the most? The things that I didn't do, the opportunities that I didn't take. And it's not just in business. It's with your family, and it's with your friends, and it's in doing things. And so if you want to have a couch potato life, good, there's a TV in front of you. But where are you going from there? You ever get up from night of watching TV and realized you didn't benefit yourself at all? But there are things that you want to see and participate. Life is for living. So you need to be well-rounded and not introverted into one philosophy or another. People that say they can't sell anything, they're correct. They can't with that attitude. If they say, I haven't been able to sell anything, but I want to learn and I'll try, then they're on the right track. That's the track to success. But for those that do, they can have what others that don't can't. And those are pretty basic, simple principles, just like the gentleman was speaking before with this. So you need to have a life of balance. And in doing this, we are in momentum. But this is the year we need to go into mega momentum because everything is right. It's taken us a while to get there. We had an antiquated computer system that we had to completely redo here. Started on about a year and a half or so ago, and now it's done for compensation and things like that and many others. There's still some things we're going to put on it, but all that is to back you up so that you can be more effective and you can rely on things that you need or things are being done for you, especially since we're a global seamless company. Unlike many other companies, if you're in another country, you don't, the upline doesn't get paid if it goes offshore. And so we're even though I don't like the term, we're a company without boundaries. I don't like it when it comes to the country because you have to have boundaries in a country, and if you don't, everything that of real value just gets washed away and levelized. But for you, if you have something where you've got a good protected thing like a country, if you want to think of it that way, that have sensational products, that has a highly rewarding compensation plan, that has all the tools you need to grow and develop, then you've got what you need. But if you don't do it, then you've missed the boat. And I think many people will truly regret it. We had some people that have joined and contacted me, and once, well, it's happened a number of times, but just to give you one particular story, this guy called up and says, you know, Tom, I come out and I looked at what you're doing in your previous company, and I didn't get in. I went off, I chased some money games and things like that. I did, but in network marketing, wanted to get rich quick. And I watched the people that were around me there. Many of them got very wealthy and successful, and I missed out. Now I've heard that you're in this, and I'm not going to miss out again. I'm getting in right now because I know what can happen. Well, for those of you that haven't had that experience, you don't have to. If you learn the lessons of history, you don't have to repeat them. And so carve out your own future. Now, understanding some of the things that happens is like no does not mean no. You get a lot of no's, okay. So how do you convert those no's to yeses? Sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. And so we know how to do that to train you. I was a national sales manager for a number of companies, but one of the very largest industrial chemical companies in the country. And with that, I mean, I was in my 20s. I was a national sales manager. How did that happen? There wasn't anybody else in the company that was in sales and management that was in their 20s, and I don't know if there's anybody in their 30s. Why? Because it takes some experience, some maturity, overcoming your fear factor. And that is the biggest problem that you have, is your fear factor. And it will hold you back. Until you go through your fear factor, you're not going to truly be successful. Now there's lots of people that have gone through their fear factor. If you look at things like Chris Dykema or Laura or Pat Garrett or Tim Proctor, Ray, Doc Fizz, and I won't go more on with more names, other than Melanie Ward has really impressed me with the number of people she has signed up just this month and how many more she's got set up for next month. How did Melanie do that? Well, same way that Laura or Anthony or Dominic or any of them have done it is they've gone out and they've made presentations. And they've got through their fear factor. They have no fear factor. So if you go through your fear factor, you're unstoppable. Politics being aside, let's just look at one thing. We have a president of the United States right now, and we've had presidents I liked and didn't like. Most I didn't like with there. But for what all you have to say is you can say a lot of things. We have an unstoppable president. No one's ever gone to Korea. No one has ever taken China on in these big trade issues. And now we have a North American trade agreement. We have a trade agreement with Japan, things that happened in Israel. All of those because he's an unstoppable force. He's got the experience, of course, got the resource, but he's president of the United States, and he's not using his business. Actually, it costs him money to be president of the United States, but he's doing things because it's the right thing to do. And he's willing to do it, and he has no fear factor, and he's unstoppable. And you're seeing the things that are happening with it. Well, you need to become unstoppable. You need to get through your fear factor. I remember a little cartoon. I just actually heard somebody saying it in another term on a radio station I was listening to coming to work a few days ago. But anyway, if you remember in the cartoons for long before internet that they had in the newspaper and things like that, there was a little cartoon. It was called Pogo and His Friends. And so it was about forest animals and very cleverly written and talking about the things that went on in a humorous, funny way, but also philosophical. But the one that stuck to my mind out of all those, and here I'm quoting Pogo, the cartoon character in Pogo and all of his friends, and he was Pogo was like a panda bear or a bear of sort, and then they had friends that were tigers and deer and all of those different type badger, pigs, all of that type of thing. And so they were all laying in a clearing, and you could see they were exhausted. They were laying there. One had an arrow sticking out of them. It was laying there, and Pogo, laying against a tree, turns and says to him, "We have met the enemy, and it is us." And that's so prophetic. You are your worst enemy. You're also your best advocate. It's what you do with what you have that matters. And if you don't do it, you can't have it. But if you do it, you won't get it all at once, because change is not an event, it's a process. So you need to change the way you're doing things. You need to have a cognizant plan on what you're going to do, and you need to do it. Intentions, the road to disaster is paved with good intentions. What you have to do is turn those into things that you can really work on and develop your skills. How do you become good at anything? Are you good at knife throwing? Well, no, but you could be. Practice enough. Good at basketball? No. You could be as good as what your physical abilities would be if you practiced, right? All of those things happen. It's just like singing and gymnastics and anything, whether it's physical or that. You have to work on it, and you start from where you're at. If you don't have so many abilities developed, you have within you the ability to develop those, but you must get through the fear factor. And if you're scared, I can't sell to anybody, well, stop that. You have to clear your mind of that. You have to think logically, and logic and reason can overcome emotions if you'll think about that. So with that, let me tell you a little story on me, and then I'll get into some of this, but about products. But when I was a young man growing up, I was really quite shy. I lived on a ranch, and we had huge tasks to do with animals and things like that, and taking care of everything that we had. And I went to school, and then I went to church, and I didn't have much time for anything other than just a lot of work and a lot of involvement. And it came to where I was so shy, and I hadn't had an experience, so I couldn't say. We're very active in the church, but I couldn't give a prayer in church. I was too embarrassed to do it. And I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, they had us read a book and then give a book report in front of the class. Now, I knew all those classmates all of my life, and I could not give a good book report. And I won't go through all the details of what I did, but at the end of it, I had a teacher who actually happened to be a good friend of my dad, so perhaps he was understanding. But he had given me a book to read, a very difficult book, because he knew that I had the ability to comprehend this and do it. And so when it was all over and everyone had given the reports, he said what they did. And he said, I'm giving Tom Mower an A-. And it wasn't because of my presentation, because here's what he said: because of the difficulty of the book he read. And when I heard that, it pierced my heart, because I thought, yes, I knew it, but I couldn't do it, and yet my friends can do it, and I am as good as they are. But what's the difference? They're not scared. They don't have that fear factor. And so they're doing all kinds of things that I would never consider doing. So I was inhibited. I wouldn't have been on a school play or anything else like it, or joined any type of a singing group or performing, because it was just too embarrassing for me. Yeah, I could play athletics and stuff like that. So at that point, I realized my friend, and one-on-one, when I was with my friends in a small group, I was the leader. So I decided I went and took a speech class. I forced myself into it. The thing I hated the most, but I knew it was on the path to changing me. And so I didn't sign up in a speech class and become incredibly successful. No, I signed up in a speech class, and I got a C and was darn lucky to get it out of the first semester. But by the third semester, I was getting an A. And I took it for a number of years, and I got A's all the way after that, because I had gone through my fear factor. So now, talking about things or doing things, I don't have a fear factor. People say, oh, you can do all that. I can't do it. Well, you know what? I couldn't do it. Now I can do it because I did it. And that's the thing you need to do. You need to set your plan out, but don't make it good intentions. This is what you're going to do, and you're going to learn a few things. You don't learn everything. Get good in one thing and push it out. And it might be just one system. It might be a target item in a product. All of those things can make you effective, but you've got to do it. You have to learn on it. And then you make your presentation. And if your presentation is poor, that's okay. Just review it after you're done. I used to lay down and think of it in my mind's eye. This person said that, and what did I say, and what should I have said? And then I could play even mind games, because I was training myself to become proficient in sales. So if they said this, how would I say that? And your mind doesn't know necessarily whether you're experiencing or not, because its processes are going through it, and you're wiring your mind on how you can do things. So then I would go out and I would do it, and after I had made a presentation, if I was driving around in a car, I'd sit there and I'd review what I said this time, and kept good records, because the fortune is in the follow-up. So I made presentations, and pretty soon I got good at it. And I went to work for this one company, and I was building a lot. And they said, will you go out and help build some territories for some of these men that are out there? Because we were hiring men mainly, a few women, but men mainly, because these were big industrial accounts. And so a lot of these guys would come in, they would want that. They liked the idea of it, but they couldn't make good presentations. So I would go out and show them how to do it, and then I'd go out and build a territory. Then I'd bring somebody in and train them to go through it. Now think of that. That's sponsoring, isn't it? So I helped them to get accounts, but at one time I did nothing but cold call. that means I went out selling industrial chemicals. And I'd go to 8 or 10 presentations every day. And if I made a presentation, at the end of 7 months, I had not missed a single sale. And then I missed one. And I still remember that because I went to the top of 2 skyscrapers here in Salt Lake City, and I started at the top and went all the way down. There's about 300 businesses in each one. So I went the top to the bottom, started at the top, walked over to the next building, started at the top, went top to the bottom. Now this took me weeks to get through because you had 600 companies or so that were there. And when I got done, at the end of it, I'd only missed one sale, and that was my first sale that I missed. And it haunts me to this day. It broke my 7-month record. But I actually trained some people that went on and broke that record that I had, because the principles are there if you will but do it. So if we get down to this, here's what your business is. Your business is recruiting, training, and developing distributors. That's it. And many people, I see that, oh yeah, I'm working with my downline. I'm solidifying my downline. The first thing that tells me, and I hear that a lot, is that you're not working your business the way you should. You're using that as an excuse to justify why you're not building the way you could be, the way that other people are. So you need to see that people do realize those types of things. And since we're a marketing company, your mission should be this, especially if you're new. Even if you're very large in this company and experienced, like many of them are, they still should be spending much of their time in recruiting new distributors, because people always fall off and things happen and changes. But if you keep infusing new distributors in, you get growth, you get a better retention, you get a synergistic effect in this business of everyone working together so that you can be very successful. So you need to recruit. And then as you get someone, you train them and you help them to where they can make their presentations and they can recruit. But they're afraid to do it to start with. But if you go out with them, then you can reinforce them and you can put them into where they grow and develop. These are basic fundamentals of any type of business, not just network marketing. It's the way it's done in the business of selling. So don't go out and think this is different than others. It isn't. Every company, nothing happens until the sale is made. And so there are people out there that are doing it, and they're training other people to do it successfully. And if you do that, companies grow. If you don't, then they start shrinking and going the other way. So I wanted to emphasize to you that, a saying is that, which you've all heard, it says, today's the first day of the rest of my life. Okay, it is. So get on the path to changing your life. And this is what you're in the business of. You're in the business, and you might want to write this down, your business as a distributor is to create change and facilitate success. That's it. If you do that, create change and facilitate success. Now, creating change is in people that will want to build a business. Yeah, you get a lot of no's, and you get a lot more no's than you do yeses. Well, I won't go through. I could go on forever on these training things, but no does not mean no. It just means they don't understand, or they're not willing to understand, and that's fine, because people have got to work in those 7-Eleven stores and make those beds and flip those hamburgers and do all kinds of uninteresting jobs because they won't think outside the box. And if you're not standing on the edge, you're just taking up too much room in your life because you're going nowhere. But if you're on the edge, everything lies before you. So my message to you right now is you're in the business to create change and facilitate success. So the change begins with you. And if you're not doing the things that, or you haven't, and you don't know how, go upline. You have a whole bunch of sponsors that are there that are probably more successful than you are. go up and get them to help you, to be practical. And they get paid commissions, so they're glad to do it. But they very seldom get asked. So a person can go or flounder on their own, and your responsibility as a distributor is not to love them and leave them, but it is to facilitate their success, recruit them, and help them to become successful. And this will go on. And that's the power that we have, because our business is not based upon what you do yourself, it's what you can get other people to do. And if you can put those things in your mind, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that mindset, because as Poga said, we have met the enemy and it is us. Well, you've met the enemy and it is you. But you also have the great champion of your life, and it is you. It's what direction you take. It's what change you make. It's what path you get on. If you're on the path of drifting, who knows where you're going to end up, but you're not going to get where you want to be. But if you go in a direction and put power to it and have goals and just do simple things, recruiting and facilitating success, retail, recruiting distributors, retailing some product, training and developing these distributors. And if you do it on a timely basis, if you only have so many days or hours a week, what are you working for? If you watch TV, are you building your future? Or if you're contacting people on the internet, if you're calling up friends and say, hey, I've got something I'd like to talk to you about that I think you would be interested in, that's pretty simple. And you go talk to them. And if you explain it to them, well, I'm getting off on what else I'm doing, but if you explain it to them, you need to know two things. They put it in your mind. No does not mean no, and yes does not mean yes. If you do it properly, no means I don't understand. When somebody says, if you say something to someone, does this look like something that would be good for you? Now, how's that for closing? That's the biggest problem people have. They overpresent because they're afraid to ask for the sale. So if you make a decent presentation, it may not be great, but if you structure it and practice a little bit, it's pretty good. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And at the end, that's where people really fall down, because they're saying, would you like to buy the product? Would you like to try a bottle? Those aren't the things. Those are yes or no absolute questions. What you want to do is, rather than have them say they do or they don't, you want to have them become part of the process to where they make a choice. And that's different. Yes or no is different than making a choice. So if you say to them, does this look like something that would be good for you? Or does this look like something you could use? Or does this look like something that would be good for your family? If they say no, oh, what isn't you don't understand? Then explain it to them. Then come back. Now do you understand? Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, well, yes means I'll buy. And so you don't say yes, and then where do you go? You say, well, great. Remember, you're in charge. And so you say, great. Now, here's what I would suggest for you and your family. And then you can outline it with what they have. You've got you and your wife, and here's the products I would suggest and for your kids. And this is what my recommendation could be. Or you can go with this other selection, or you can have more of a trimmed down selection. Perhaps you don't want to sell everything. In fact, you really don't. You want to sell one product till it's sold. But you go through it, and then you say to them, which would you prefer? You see, they said, yes, great. This is what I'd recommend, or I'd recommend this. Which would you prefer? Now you're not having them to say, yes, I won't do it. I don't want to do it, or I will do it. You're having them make a choice, which is much easier for people to do, and it's easier for you because that's the closing that you want to make. I'm teaching a lot of you this because I know you have the desire. You're on the call, you're in the distributors, but it's hard where we're the company and you're not working directly for us to where we're training you. Our mission is to create and distribute good products, pay commissions, and provide sales training and sales aids, things like that. But your training needs to come. Some of it comes, of course, down for us, but really from your upline, your sponsor. So if somebody asks someone to sponsor, the question should be, if they want to recruit them, you say, okay, how are you going to help me build my business? See, that would be a good question for every new recruit to do if they don't think of it. But you can think of it, you can take those things, and you can make that initiative. So that's my advice right now. We are so set to go into mega momentum, that this is really going to be the year for those that want to streak out and run. And if you don't, you're going to look back a year from now, oh, look what's happened with all these other people. You can still get going, and it's still there, and we're going to have mega momentum will go for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, depending on where you go with what you're doing. It may not last in a certain country, but you have downlines jumping to other countries and things like that, or new people coming in. If you got your hand on the wheel, then you need to drive a course that leads you to success, not just drive around and look at the view. So get your rear in gear and get going. So now we're going to talk about a few products. I've done a lot of, I'm so motivated in helping you to become successful, and I know the biggest enemy you have is you, and the biggest asset you have is you. So I'm trying to show you how to get through that to where you become your best asset, and you do it. But it's all in mindset. So you have to have your mindset there, and then this is where the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people come in. And it's simply this. Successful people do things that others don't like to do or don't want to do. That's simple. Successful people do things that others don't want to do or don't like to do. And if you realize that, then your choice, you have a choice of being successful or just living life. And you know where this road goes, because when you come to the point of retiring, it's like going over the edge of a cliff, because about 95, 96% of all the people in America retire at or below the poverty level. A lifetime of work, but you sold yourself. You traded your time for dollars. You didn't trade your time for time, other people's time. Had you done that, retirement would look wonderful. Now it's austere, and 20 years from now you're going to be driving the same car, and you may have had to move into a little apartment. I've seen that happen before, but I've also seen the Lazarus effect come in, where these people have risen from that and gone out and become multimillionaires in a number of cases, just regular ordinary people. So it's all there for you to do, but you've got to do it yourself. But you're in this by yourself, but you're not alone. So you have company support you, you have your sponsor to support you, and you have your upline to support you. And if you're not getting it all done and you don't know how to do it all, okay, resources are here for you to find it. And the basics of doing it are easy enough, and you can do it if you will but do it. If you don't do it, of course you won't do it, and you won't get that successful. But if you do, the more you do it, the more proficient you'll become, and pretty soon you'll be your own superstar with it, not just for you, but for your family and things like that. You can drive the car of your dreams. You can live in a more gorgeous home. You can take vacations anywhere you want. You can put your kids through college, take care of that, help them to get cars and homes and make their life better, and other people, all of that. Look at the Baccinis. What an example they are. Their whole family's in this. Well, it started with Laura. And so then it went down. And who did she care for the most? Well, her family, as she should. And so who did she help develop, train and develop? Them. And now they're tentacling out, doing the same kinds of things. So you should do it too. So let's talk about some of the products that you should be taking. It's pretty simple. What do people want? People want to be healthy, happy, and prosperous. We can do all of that, but the products are the foundation that creates the money that wealth can be created from. So if you're just selling products, you can be Amway-like, and Amway says their program now is really saying, don't buy from the store, buy for yourself, and get other people to buy from you rather than the store, and we all make money on it. Well, that's a pretty basic fundamental thing, and that's how it has been for a long time. But that goes back to their philosophy is, yeah, you can make a good living if you don't buy from the store and get other people not to buy for the store. But and of course, Amway's going to say they've got great products, and that any company says that. They all say, who's going to say, well, we got pretty good products, or our products are not as good as some, but better than others, that type of thing. They're all going to overhype their products, but they're in my opinion, almost all are going to underperform, except we are the shining star. We are Sizzle. Our star shines so bright because our products, we will hype the heck out of them, and we can't do justice to what they really can do, and we're even legally limited on what we can say, even though the ingredients have been proven to do it because they're put together in a formulation. The FTC and the FDA said, oh, you can't say your formula does it, even if all the ingredients do. And, of course, one of the excuses is it's because one might counteract another. And most of that is just plain BS, but they're a bureaucracy, and their business is in regulating and controlling you rather than helping you with what they're doing. And then they have Big Pharma that's there. It's in many of the congressmen's pocketbook, and federal agencies, all of that are working with them, and of course they're working against you because when you're healthy, they don't make money. When you're sick, they treat symptoms, they do make money. So it's you're in the opposite side of it. You are creating health, and it's like saying is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It sure is, but where do you find the prevention? If you're taking dietary supplements, the FDA just rated the top 200 companies about a year ago in the stores, top 200 selling products, and found out not a single one had enough of the active ingredient in it to be considered a therapeutic dose. Now, what an indictment, and these were the big names that are out there. But I'll tell you what, they can never say that about ours because we put it to the max. We find out what the studies say they'll do, and we bring it to the very highest level that it can be made, and then we don't just let it stand on its own. You don't build a building just out of bricks. You got to have a lot of support work and foundation and structures and things to hold on. So we look at, okay, what's the end game that you're at? So here's the key ingredient, but here's another one that works towards that, and here's another that supports this other way. So we put them together so they have a synergistic effect on each other, and each one of them working perhaps even within different systems that are within the condition that you're working on, whether it be aging or it might be dementia or things like that. We have a multi-pronged attack for the different facets of it. Just think in your brain, how many different systems do you have there that are going? You have blood, you have oxygen, you have ganglia and neurons and so many biological processes, and there's 60,000 processes going on continuously in your brain. So it takes more than just one magic bullet, one product. So we know what those things are, and that's what we do. So let's talk about them here for a second. DW talked about vision, and I'm writing something up on vision because of what a distributor said, and people have no idea of the vision that went into our vision or Vital Vision product. And there's some things, it's primarily for the eyes, but it also has some secondary things. And if you listen closely, I'll just give you an idea. Because everybody's eyes deteriorate over time, and it starts to really begin in your late 20s, and by mid-40s, even the shape of your eyes is changing. That's why most people say, "Oh, I've always had good vision. Now I got to wear glasses." Why is that? It's because biological processes within your body cannot maintain the round shape of your eye. So it sort of goes oval and collapses. That makes so the light that comes through where it registers on the retina, it moves from the central spot it should be, and it's registering further up it. So you get blurred vision with that kind of thing. Well, there are ingredients that you can take that can help maintain eye health. I have to say this thing very carefully because you can get into a drug claim real quick. And a drug is not what the ingredient is, it's what you say it does. I mean, even things like water or wheat could be, anything you can say wheat can cure a heart attack. Well, it can't, but you could say that. And then they say, oh, that's an illegal drug claim. So we have to be very careful because we're playing with a very aggressive bureaucracy and backed by big pharma and big medicine, and we're flying in the face of it because we don't want you to see your doctor. So anyway, your eyes, the shape is changing. And also the other thing that happen with eye bags too, you have the eyes are very vulnerable, so they have a bunch of pillows. They're made of fat that are all around the eye to cushion it. But as you get older, the fat in those starts to diminish, and the fluid around them starts coming out, and they collapse down, and there's where you get your eye bags, right there from that. And it's all a part of the evolutionary process with it. And by the time you're in your 50s, that's when macular degeneration takes place. It's deteriorating away, and cataracts are forming. You get all those kinds of things. And those are the two biggest causes of blindness, is macular degeneration and cataracts. Can they be avoided? Yeah, I think they can. And we're not going to prevent it, but the body has the ability to do it if you give it the proper nutrients so it can function right. That makes sense, doesn't it? And that's what we've done with this. And then you start seeing, as people get older, you start seeing particles that are forming in their eyes, and it becomes more cloudy, and it also affects their vision with it. But then, even if you had 20/20 vision when you're younger, by the time you're 40 or 50, you have had a lot of environmental damage. Think of this. UV light is one of the greatest damagers to your skin and other things, but it goes right into your eyes. So you have pigmentation in your eyes, and as you see people that are getting older, they don't have the bright, clear color they did when they're younger. Why? Because it's rusted away. It's been oxidized by UV light. So that is happening now, and so you have all of these accumulated damage that comes and is building upon itself, and then you get to a certain point, it becomes, you become aware of it because changes are happening. So if you have 20/20 vision, what should you do? I'd say buy Vital Vision, because you want to do everything you can to keep it just as good as possible. The other thing that's very important for eyes that if I was going to put together a complement, would be the age pill, because stem cells are so important, and this supports stem cell building stem cells, maintaining them, and also helping your eyes to literally grow younger. And the other is omega oils. They say that's fish oil, but that's only part of it. That's why we have Super Omega Plus. There's 3 types of omega oils that are extremely good for your eyes. Well, we know the age pill can come on. It has a great effect for the eyes, but it does for other parts of the body. Same thing with Super Omega Plus. We have 3 different types of omegas, and in some things, it starts from krill. Fish don't create omega oils. What they do is algae grows, and that has an omega oil. Then krill, little shrimp-like creatures, feed on that, and they create a different variety of omega-3 oils. And then fish feed on the krill, and they create a different type of omega oils. But it all starts with algae. So which is the best? Well, it depends on what it's for. In some things, algae is 40 times better than either krill or fish oil. And in other things, krill is 60 times better than either algae or fish oil. And so if you put them all together, what do you have? A synergistic thing. And then we have a lot of other things. And as the eyes deteriorate, there's a whole new science that's out there. And there's a couple of really key ingredients. One of them is called AREDs. They call them carotenoids, but they're special blends, and they are so vital for the eyes. The eyes just gobble them up to keep itself healthy with it in so many different ways. Because of the time, I won't go through all of that. But AREDs, we've got that in ours, and usually you can't find one that does, and if you do find one, it's just AREDs, and that's incomplete. So we have a lot of things in our Vital Vision to support lots of other functions too. And then we have a thing called acinanthin, and we have lutein. Those are very powerful compounds. So this formula is extremely powerful. But astaxanthin is also has another purpose. It supports the activation of the longevity gene, not just in your eyes, but in other parts of the body, especially in the brain. But in the eyes is really great with it. And with these kinds of things, you want to keep your pigment of your eyes good, not just so they look good, but so they're functioning. And this whole formula goes and is designed and providing the nutrients that we believe the eyes need in order to maintain its health and to, with its own natural processes, to keep that eye healthy and functioning the way it should be. Now, by the time you're 80, if you've been on our products from when you had 20/20 vision, what's your vision going to be? I can't tell you, but I can tell you I believe it will be much, much better. And I won't give you my advanced age, but I don't wear glasses, only if something's really teeny with it. But at one time, I was getting up to 2.5 power, but that's gone now. So you have those kinds of things. So there's one product, and sorry, DW, I went through all these, but let me hit you on a couple you hadn't thought of. How many of you women are worried about breast cancer? And you men too, because your loved ones get it. Well, we have really a secret weapon that supports the body in its fight against it, and it's called Inner Chi for Her. And Inner Chi for Her has a thing called the lignin. And we can't, our product hasn't been tested. We can't say that it does it, but if you looked up what this particular lignin does, it attaches to the receptors that are destroyed and get mutagenic damage to create breast cancer. But the science shows, our product cannot show that. We cannot say it because it takes 15 years and costs a couple $2 billion to make the claim. So we can tell you about the ingredients, you can look at it, and then you can make your conclusion if you want. But on the single ingredient of this type of lignin, and there's a number of types, this type, what it does is they say, this should literally bulletproof most people against breast cancer unless they're right in the stages of it. Cure breast cancer? No, but provide what the cells need to maintain their health and to fight that. So lignins are in it. The other thing which is so extremely important for women is every woman over 40, and many before that, but every woman over 40 has metabolic syndrome. And you may not understand metabolic syndrome, but you ought to look it up and see what it does because it's devastating to you. And yet if you see women, there's a few, about 5% of the Asian population, they can get quite old and they have gorgeous hair, gorgeous skin, bright eyes, all of those things, healthy, slimmer, all of that, because with these Asian women, they have a certain enzyme in their system that can convert certain types of nutrients from some ingredients that we know of course, I won't go through all that for time, but it converts it into what's an ingredient called Equal, E-Q-U-O-L. Equal supports the body system as it fights to remain healthy and to overcome, or not to overcome, but, well, you'll have to determine that for yourself. But for metabolic syndrome, it is so powerful. And if you read on it, now all these things are put together in the same product, and there's things like for pre or postmenopausal, fabulous. Good health, weight loss, energy, and healthier body, all because of Equal. So that's pretty powerful. But guys, we haven't forgot you. We have Inner Chi for Him, and Inner Chi for Him has Equal in it too, because as you're getting older, a couple of things happen to you, and one of it is that you really start to convert a lot of the testosterone that is in your body into estrogen, and it's a natural process that occurs. Now, the estrogen that's in your body, of course, is more feminizing, but the testosterone builds muscle and bones and energy and all of those kinds of things. So if it's readily converted to estrogen by the aging process that's there, we have an ingredient in there, a qual that is there that will support the body system that keep testosterone strong and keep it from converting over. Now, we're not preventing, we're just supporting the body in these functions so that this process, which the body is trying to fight but doesn't have the right nutrients, now suddenly you do. So a couple of things come in with that. One of it is virility. That can help a great deal. But a lot of men have, prostate issues with it, prostate enlargement. But there's some compounds, particular types of what they call beta-cysterols, that are great for prostate health, and even support the body's fight to shrink prostate or to keep it normal and healthy. Now look at all of that in one product. So here's another example of multifaceted systems. So you have that. Now I'm about out of time, but I want to talk about one more. See, I'm talking about things you're not ordinarily using. Number one, let me tell you this. If you're not using our toothpaste and our mouthwash, you're doing things that are damaging your eyes, your brain, and is a great agent in increasing heart attack with you from gum disease, pyorrhea, and almost everything creates that. Our toothpaste does not. So it's not necessarily preventing it, it's that your body creates it, and what we have is products that won't allow that kind of thing to occur because it's not in the nature of the ingredients, where other toothpastes have things that denature proteins and it's just eating it up and everything deteriorates and it has a huge effect. Studies, I believe, are about 30% greater of having a heart attack by what you use to brush your teeth. So we've avoided all that. So you do that because there's something connected to your brain, infections in your brain from that, all that type of thing. So you can see how just a simple thing like toothpaste, if you're not using our toothpaste, you're doing yourself a disservice. The last one I'm going to talk about, which is one that a lot of people don't realize, but it's called 4Restore and what it can do. 4Restore is an amazing product because the first thing it does is it creates a lot of nitric oxide. The body produces nitric oxide. It builds virility for men. It builds strength and integrity in muscle and bones for men and women. It improves the circulation, supports the improvement of circulation through your entire cardiovascular system. It supports it where it will vasodilate. In other words, it will increase in size in blood vessels and arteries and things like that. So the amount of blood flowing through it now has less pressure going through it, and it's more permeable to remove toxins from the bodies and also to bring nutrients to the body. And if that wasn't enough, it has other features in it that we're doing to support as precursors. One of the things that really goes down is your growth hormones as you get older, and HGH, human growth hormone, growth factors, pineal hormones, hormone-secreting hormones, hypothalamus, hormones that are created. All of those things, hormones are really what regulates and controls our processes, but that really goes down. So I have fortified 4Restore with all of these kinds of things that work for that as precursors, just as like in our age product, we have precursors to make NAD. Well, we have precursors in this to support the hormones that you need for your body that are deteriorating greatly. So you think you're going to feel a lot better with this? You bet. You'll feel the tingling if you take them. You take 3 or 4. You'll feel the tingling for a while, and don't think it's a rash. What it is your cardiovascular system dilating. It puts a little pressure on nerves, and you feel, I feel like I've got an itch, or I might have a little bit of burn. It only lasts for about 15 minutes or so, and then it's gone. But man, has it done a world of good. It's like flexing your muscles. You flex your muscles as you lift, they get stronger. You flex your cardiovascular system, your veins and all those types of things. Of course it gets stronger and better. And where it's getting brittle and old and getting ready to leak and cause a stroke or any other type of thing, but the ability to keep that from happening all depends on the nutrients you have, and we have those in it. I won't go through much more on that one, but I'm going to publish something here pretty quick. It'll be quite astounding to you. Those of you that come to Mower Mountain, I'm going to have very detailed studies on this and some of the other things that we're doing. But if you're not on our toothpaste, if you're not on Vital Vision, if you're not on For Restore, if you're not on Inner Chief or Her or Him, you're not supporting certain systems within your body that these ingredients, I believe, are vital to support as precursors or nutrient and ingredients to give you extraordinary results. So it's your choice. It's your body. The more you do, the better it is. The ability now to live to a great length of age at a much younger age is here. The death of aging is at hand, and the age pill and other things are the instrument of its destruction. Who has this approach? If you take a look at how this, and this is what I'm going to try and do at Mower Mountain, is bring out this, okay, what are all the factors that have to do with aging in your body that you want to affect? How about eyes? How about your brain? How about the telomeres? Maybe you don't even know what telomeres are. They're the ones that tell the cells when to divide, and as they wear out, as you get older, the cells don't divide as fast. So less cells, less of you, see? And so all of these kinds of factors that are there, I'm going to give a great detailed explanation of those at Mower Mountain, and we'll try and make it as reproducible as possible and some literature to help you. But for those of you that are going to be, I think, lucky enough to be there, you're going to, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't blow your gourd, you haven't got one, because this son of a gun, this is going to be a power-packed thing. And then I'm going to do a little futurizing, and I'm going to tell you about a few things that are coming out and a couple that we're looking at. And we have sensational products with transfusium and rapid repair. But we're going to put those like they're on steroids with new things. In fact, as I'm toying with an idea that if you don't see a visible change in your skin, you don't see it within 14 to 30 days, then send it back in. We'll give you your money back. That's what we're thinking about doing. That's also a dangerous thing, because some people I've tried stuff like that, and they say, well, I needed the money, so I sent it back in. Well, that's not honest. That's not fair. But I might try it for a while. Because you know why I'm going to try it? It's not that I want to hype you on it. It's because the ingredients on it will perform extraordinarily fast, and you can see changes coming into your skin that you won't believe. And do you know that your skin has an age gene? And when that happens, you get to a certain point in your life, that age gene is activated by the damage that's done to your skin, and that's what causes creping in skin. That's what causes wrinkles and sagging in skin, because it pulls itself in the areas that are damaged to try and protect itself, and that forms a wrinkle, etc. And of course, then you have eye bags with a lot of different factors we haven't talked about. We're going to address all that, but I have a product coming out, and I don't know what to call it. Right now I'm calling it Age Switch, and what it has is ingredients that supports the skin. Now, we can get to the skin easy from the outside, but it supports the skin to turn off the age switch. Tell me that's not revolutionary. And then when you have the other things to give massive fortification to all the processes of having young skin and viable and collagen and elastin and moisture and thickness and flexibility, these formulas are pretty well that now, but we're taking it to a point no one has ever even conceived as possible, and that's going to happen, and it's going to happen within months. So do you want to sit on your rear? You want to be a couch potato watching the world go by? Well, guess what? It's going to go by so fast, and you're going to see people, you're going to take a look at them 20 years from now if you haven't done it, say, oh my God, you're younger than I am by far. Of course. The choice is yours. It's up to you. And as the saying is, if it's to be, it's up to me. So it is. But you got us. We're here. We're doing it like it's never been done before. We have the greatest company in the history of network marketing, and we have the greatest products, I believe, in the history of human health. Pharmaceuticals, natural ingredients, things like this. Ours are all based on natural, but they are spectacular, and some of them no one else is using. And things they can do was utterly 5 years ago thought to be impossible, even some a couple of years ago thought to be impossible. Now it is possible, it is plausible, and we're doing it. And you alone will have your hands on this opportunity with these products, with this tremendous compensation plan we have. And all you have to do is get out, recruit, create change, and facilitate their success. So I went over, sorry, but that's my message for today. Back to you, DW.